Do you sometimes feel a quiet echo in the rooms that once bustled with life, leaving an unexpected sense of emptiness after decades of purposeful striving? What if this feeling isn't a sign of something lost, but rather a profound invitation to discover a deeper, more enduring joy? My dear friends, greetings to you, wherever you may be in this moment, perhaps in the quiet comfort of your home, or simply pausing for reflection. My name is Pema, and I am a humble monk. I've spent many years listening, observing, and learning from the wisdom passed down through generations, wisdom that speaks to the very heart of our human experience. Today, I wish to share a few thoughts and stories with you, not as a teacher, but as a fellow traveler on this wondrous path of life. I sense that many of you, having journeyed through so much, may find yourselves in a unique season. Perhaps the rhythm of your life has changed. The children are grown, careers have concluded, and the daily demands that once filled every hour have softened, leaving an unexpected spaciousness. Have you ever felt this quiet hum of a new beginning? Yet sometimes, within that spaciousness, an unfamiliar emptiness can arise. It's a feeling I hear echoed in many hearts. What now? What is my purpose when the old purposes have faded? It's a natural and deeply human question, and I want you to know you are certainly not alone in asking it. Many years ago, in a village nestled beside a great river, lived a man named Hiroshi. All his life, Hiroshi had been a fisherman, a skilled and tireless provider. His days were spent mending nets, braving the currents, and returning home with a bounty that fed his family and earned him the respect of his community. His identity was woven into the very fabric of his boat, his nets, and the silver scales of the fish he caught. Then one day, his eyesight began to fail. His hands grew stiff, and the river that was once his friend became an unforgiving adversary. Hiroshi sold his boat, hung up his nets, and retired to his small home. At first, there was a quiet relief, a respite from the dawn's chill and the river's endless demands. But soon, a profound sense of loss began to settle over him. He would sit by the window, watching the other fishermen set out, and a bitter taste would fill his mouth. "My life is over," he'd tell himself. "I am nothing without my fishing." The days stretched before him, long and formless, devoid of the meaning he once found in his labor. He felt like an empty net, cast aside. Does Hiroshi's story resonate with you, even a little? Perhaps your fishing was a career, raising a family, caring for a home, or a passion that filled your earlier years. When those roles recede, it's entirely understandable to feel a void. In Buddhist teachings, we speak of attachment. It's not that the things we attach to are bad in themselves. Far from it. Hiroshi's dedication to his work was admirable. But when our sense of self, our very identity, becomes solely dependent on external roles, achievements, or possessions, then when those things inevitably change or fade, we can feel as if a part of ourselves has vanished. It's like holding water in cupped hands. It eventually slips away, and we are left with nothing but the memory of its coolness. What if there was another way to look at this stage of life, not as an ending, but as a shedding, a preparation for something new, and perhaps even more profound? Let me tell you a simple story, a parable often shared to illustrate a subtle truth. Imagine a small boat, adrift on a calm lake. It is empty, unmanned, simply floating. Now, imagine you are rowing your own boat across this same lake. Suddenly, you see the empty boat drifting directly towards you on a collision course. Your first instinct might be frustration, even anger. Look at that careless person. Why are they not steering their boat? You brace for impact, perhaps even shout an angry word. But then, as the empty boat bumps gently against yours, you realize there is no one in it. It is just an empty boat carried by the current. At that moment, where does your anger go? It dissipates, doesn't it? Because there is no one to blame, no intention to accuse. Many of our feelings of frustration, regret, or even this sense of emptiness, my friends, are like that empty boat. We project intentions, attach expectations, and blame circumstances or ourselves. We hold on to the idea that life should be a certain way, or that we should be a certain way, even when the currents of time have shifted. Hiroshi felt empty because he believed his life should still be about fishing. But what if the emptiness is simply an empty boat, without blame, without judgment? What if it's an invitation to stop clinging to the idea of who you were and begin to discover who you are now, in this moment? This new, quieter space is not a void to be filled with distractions, but a canvas awaiting a new kind of masterpiece. Perhaps you found yourself looking back, revisiting memories, both joyful and sorrowful. This is natural. We carry our past with us, like cherished albums. But do you sometimes wonder if those memories, especially the challenging ones, still hold you captive? In our tradition, we speak of the beginner's mind, Shoshin. It's about approaching every moment, every day, with the freshness and curiosity of someone seeing it for the very first time, without preconceived notions or the weight of past experiences. Imagine looking at your morning cup of tea as if you'd never seen one before. The delicate steam rising, the aroma, the warmth in your hands. This simple act of mindful observation can transform the mundane into something precious. For Hiroshi, if he could have looked at his non-fishing days with a beginner's mind, what might he have seen? Perhaps the intricate patterns of sunlight on his wall, the comforting warmth of his wooden floor, the simple joy of a shared meal. Let me share another story, this one about an elderly woman named CLARA. CLARA had been a whirlwind of activity her entire life. A successful businesswoman, a devoted mother, a community leader. Retirement for her felt like being unplugged from the mains. She tried golfing, joined clubs, but a nagging sense of unfulfillment persisted. One day, her young grandson asked her to teach him how to bake the apple pie she used to make for family gatherings. As she guided his small hands, measuring the flour, rolling the dough, the familiar sense filling the kitchen, something shifted within her. She wasn't baking for a deadline, or for an audience, or for praise. She was simply baking mindfully, with love, sharing a skill. In that moment, the years of striving, the titles, the achievements, all faded away. All that remained was the warmth of the oven, the sweet scent of apples, and the quiet joy of connection. And in that simplicity, CLARA found a profound sense of peace that had eluded her in her busiest days. Have you noticed how much wisdom you carry within you? Wisdom born from decades of experience? What if this wisdom isn't meant to be simply stored, but gently shared, like CLARA sharing her baking? Sometimes when we feel empty, it's because we are still looking for external validation, for external purpose. But true, lasting purpose often comes from within, from cultivating a sense of connection and compassion. Do you sometimes feel a bit disconnected from the world, or even from yourself, in this new phase of life? What if the greatest source of fulfillment lies not in what we gain, but in what we are able to share, however small that may seem? The Buddha spoke of metta, or loving kindness. It is a gentle, pervasive feeling of goodwill towards oneself and all beings. When we cultivate metta, we open our hearts. This doesn't mean we need to embark on grand gestures. It can be as simple as a kind word to a neighbor, a genuine smile to a cashier, or a moment of quiet contemplation, wishing well-being for someone who is struggling. It can be tending to a small garden, offering a listening ear to a friend, or simply being present with your loved ones. These seemingly small acts weave a tapestry of connection that replaces the threadbare feeling of emptiness with a rich, vibrant sense of belonging. Consider the story of two monks, Tanzan and Aikido, traveling down a muddy road. A heavy rain was falling. As they came around a bend, they saw a young woman dressed in a silk kimono, unable to cross a puddle of mud. "Come on, girl," said Tanzan. "I will carry you." He lifted her in his arms and carried her over the mud. Aikido, the younger monk, was silent, fuming inwardly as they walked on. Hours later, unable to contain himself, he blurted out, "We monks are not supposed to go near females, especially young and lovely ones. It is dangerous. Why did you do it?" Tanzan looked at him gently. "I left the girl back there," he said. "Are you still carrying her?" This story reminds us, my friends, that often the burdens we carry, the feelings of emptiness or regret, are not the events themselves, but our clinging to them. We carry the girl, the past disappointment, the unfulfilled expectation, the lost role, long after the moment has passed. This clinging keeps our hearts and minds occupied, leaving little room for the freshness of the present moment or the joy of new connections. What if you could gently set down those burdens? What if you could release the expectation that life must always be a certain way and simply embrace what is? This is not resignation. It is liberation. It is finding freedom in the present moment, acting with an open heart. As the years gently accumulate, have you noticed a deepening desire for understanding, for true wisdom? What if the very challenges you faced, the periods of searching, have been teachers in disguise? In the monastery, we learn that wisdom often blossoms from acceptance. Acceptance of change, acceptance of impermanence, acceptance of ourselves, just as we are, with all our experiences. It's a profound peace that comes from recognizing that life unfolds in its own way, and our task is not to control it, but to move gracefully with its currents. I remember a senior monk, Auntie Ananda, who lived to a very advanced age. His body was frail, his memory sometimes faltered, but his eyes held a light of profound contentment. I once asked him, "Bhante, with so many changes in your body and mind, how do you maintain such peace?" He smiled, a deep, crinkled smile. "My dear Pema," he said, his voice soft like rustling leaves, "the body is a temporary vessel, always changing, always moving towards its natural end. The mind, too, is like a marketplace, full of chatter and transient thoughts. But beneath all of it, there is a silent stream, a quiet awareness. My practice now is simply to rest in that stream, to know that I am not my failing body, nor my busy thoughts, but the witness to them. And in that witnessing, there is an unchanging peace." Bhante Ananda taught me that this stage of life, far from being an emptying, can be a stripping away of the non-essential, revealing the enduring core of who we truly are. It is a time for deep introspection, for savoring simple moments, for deepening our gratitude. Have you ever considered how much there is to be grateful for, even in the smallest details of your day? The warmth of the sun, the taste of a good meal, the sound of a loved one's voice, the simple act of breathing. When we consciously turn our attention to gratitude, it acts like a gentle balm, soothing the heart and replacing any lingering sense of lack with a feeling of abundance. This journey we are on, my dear friends, is not about filling a void, but about recognizing that the void itself is an illusion, a mistaken perception. It is about understanding that true contentment doesn't depend on external circumstances, but on our internal state, on the cultivation of our inner garden. The emptiness you might feel after 60 isn't a problem to be fixed, but a sacred space to be explored. It is an invitation to shed the heavy armor of old roles and expectations, and to rediscover the lightness of being, the joy of presence, and the profound wisdom that comes from a life fully lived and deeply reflected upon. As we draw closer to the end of our time together, I want to leave you with one final thought, a gentle encouragement. Do not fear this new spaciousness in your life. Embrace it as an opportunity. It is a precious gift of time, a time for self-discovery, for deepening your spiritual practice, for connecting with what truly matters. Perhaps it's a time to finally learn that craft you always dreamed of, or to spend more time in nature, or to simply sit in quiet contemplation, observing the dance of life around you? What if this is the very moment you have been preparing for all your life? A time to harvest the wisdom of your years and share its fragrance with the world, even if just to one person or to yourself. So if life feels empty after 60, please listen not to the world's noisy clamor, but to the quiet whispers of your own heart. This emptiness is not a conclusion, but a new beginning. It is a call to awaken to the present moment, to cultivate compassion for yourself and others, and to find enduring peace in acceptance and gratitude. May you approach each new day with a beginner's mind, open to its simple wonders. May you release the burdens of the past, like the monk who left the girl in the mud. And may you discover that the deepest sense of fulfillment does not come from what you acquire, but from the boundless wellspring of wisdom, compassion, and presence that resides within you, always. Go gently, my friends, and may your days be filled with serenity, and your heart with a quiet, abiding joy.